Well, I think the short answer to that is yes. We make these commercial and financial decisions, but we make them under the umbrella, if you will, of policy objectives, and it wouldn't be in our interests to provide high-tech equipment to Morocco if we thought that it would have a negative influence on regional stability.
Pardon? Et d'équipement.
Military, I heard it.
Yeah.
It's interesting that as we proceed, as time passes, and I hear more French, my French is coming back. And I studied French 30 years ago, but it's still there somewhere. And normally it takes 4 or 5 glasses of wine to get up to this point. Okay, but I understand the import of the core point of your question, and there's no difference. There's no difference. It's not like we are providing. It's not like we're providing military equipment to Morocco to have a regional war. We are not. Quite unrelated to this question, however, is that we are seeking ways to provide to support sale of equipment to Algeria as well. And it's not that we are trying to set off any type of arms race, but the support we have for Morocco and for Algeria is in support of our counterterrorism efforts in the region, our efforts against the spread of AQIM, and the spread of trafficking of whether it's trafficking of drugs, trafficking of humans, several trafficking efforts that occur across across North Africa that we want to help governments to stop, not only because it's in their interest, but it's also in our interest. There's more?
You didn't answer the second part of the question.
Yeah. I intentionally avoided it.
I forgot about it. But I forgot.
I don't know. We can't say at this point. I don't know. The answer to that is I don't know.
I guess there is a contradiction in your own statement. You were talking before about protecting minorities and rights, etc. But what about Burma? There is a genocide going on there that is perpetrated by the junta in Burma. And what about China? In the northwestern part of China, you have the Muslim community Uyghurs that are being repressed. They are really being victimized. Don't you think that there is a contradiction between what you are saying and about the fact that you don't say anything about what is going on in China because you don't want to displease China?
Aussi la question de la Palestine récemment, il y a 2 jours, les États-Unis ont indiqué qu'ils ne verseront plus leur cotisation à l'UNESCO. Ça n'encourage pas la paix entre Israël et la Palestine comme c'est souhaité par les États-Unis. Voilà, je pense qu'il y a une contradiction. Merci.
The good news is that the tough question came at the very end.
Une bonne nouvelle, c'est que les questions les plus dures sont posées à la fin.
I think that, fortunately or unfortunately, and mostly unfortunately, malheureusement, contradictions exist. In human life, contradictions exist in world affairs. I wish personally that everything across the world was in agreement with all our principles. And I wish we had the power to make everything right everywhere. But as a consolation, it is a case that if we're not saying anything publicly about Burma and about China, we're certainly saying things unofficially and at working levels about the need for those countries to correct their human rights practices. Now, on the question of Israel and Palestine, the U.S. position is that the solution to the Palestinian-Israeli or Israeli-Palestinian problem, depending on where you sit, is something that has to be negotiated between the two parties to the conflict, between the Israelis and the Palestinians. That negotiation is more properly held, or will more properly take place between the two countries and not necessarily in an international forum. Now, personally, and please put this in your notes, personally, it's not lost on me that Israel came into existence by virtue of a United Nations resolution. Still the U.S. government's official policy that the conflict will be resolved as a result of direct negotiation between the two parties. Thank you all. Merci beaucoup.